on the orders of the Minister of Finance and given to the NSA, the NSA. That was when that was admitted. The point I'm making.
Sorry, I'm still on this. If it's okay now, still on appropriation.
That one was not.
Let's now also go to another arm of government, which is the legislature, oversight function on what was appropriated.
We'll come to those guys, but please, on this one, the explanation given by the former Minister of Finance, Dr. Okonjo-Iweala, is at best bonkun. The president cannot authorize the release of money from the Abacha loot. There has to be appropriation before you can spend a kobo. Mind you, a month before then, the president had sent a letter to the National Assembly, both chambers, to request for approval to take a loan of $1 billion to procure arms.
Was it,
if
was
the
it
president had to go, no.
Or the one that was appropriated, the one for the security fund.
This one, the $2.1 billion, the 643 billion naira were appropriated. But the one of Abacha wasn't, and it was not part of the investigation. It was revealed by the media, and that is the challenge before the media to assist the country.
You know, I know
that. I think he missed out on my oversight question. You
haven't answered your question.
Good. My question is, when we talk about appropriation, definitely if we had individuals or an arm of government carrying out oversight function on such monies that have been appropriated, do you think we would have been able to go into what we're going into now, talking about so much about monies that have been spent from that particular agency?
I think, in fairness to the Senate President, Dr. Bukola Saraki, I say, he made a statement sometimes last week that if the National Assembly had genuinely carried out its oversight function, we won't be in this mess. You know, and I fully agree with that.
Let us switch now. I don't want you to go without you talking about this military Shiite matter. We're already running out of time. I was just wondering if you have any comment. Do you think that human rights have been breached? Was it proper? You've looked at the crisis between the military and the Shiite. I mean, how it started. How would you intervene on this matter?
When you had the last terrorist attack in France, Nigeria was one of the countries. Our president condemned the killings. I also expected this time around that our president would have condemned the mindless killings in Zaria. It was totally uncalled for. There must be civilized ways of managing crowds in our country. Once you admit that people can protest peacefully, once you agree that people can assemble peacefully, you must learn to respect their rights. But what has happened, and I've put this across to the authorities, unless the government comes out to insist that any member of the armed forces or any member of the security agencies that causes embarrassment for the government, that violates the rights of people, unarmed citizens, which may lead to a court case, and damages are awarded against the government, such officers have to bear part of the responsibility. Unless we get to that stage, we're not going to get our armed forces to respect Nigeria. In 3 cases, the invasion of Odi in Bayelsa State, the invasion of Zakibiam in Benue State, and the invasion of Baramotu in Delta State. On those 3 occasions, the Federal High Court awarded about 200 billion naira damages against the government. And I have told the authorities in the military, if they have to pay such damages, okay, there will be problems. So it is the government that bears the responsibility.
But why are they not learning any lessons?
Because, again, you have to look at the training of our armed forces and the police. It's the colonial training that has continued. If you know the history of the setup of these organizations, they are not there. The Nigerian police force, we call it Nigerian police force. In other countries, it's police service. When the British established the police, if you look at the logo of the police today, it's an elephant to crush the people. They haven't changed that. The mentality hasn't changed. The same thing with the military. They were set up to terrorize citizens, to extort money for the British. You know, that was where corruption really started under the colonial regime. You know, and so it has continued. In no military school in Nigeria or police college do you have any training, you know, in human rights. I've just suggested to the authorities, you must introduce human rights into the curricula of these schools so that they will learn to respect, but they regard all of us as bloody civilians. When there is any altercation, you pants on them. And that's why we're in this mess. So I expect government to set up, to allow the National Human Rights Commission to go into this matter, investigate the crisis in Zaria, as well as the killings in Onitsha. You know, I'm talking of the pro-Biafra sharps who were also, you know, violently attacked by the police, so that we can put an end to this regular, incessant violations of the rights of our people.
All right, let me bring this part before I go. Pardon me if you've spoken about it before. I just came back, so I'm not sure. I'm just wondering, because I understood you were supposed to have been made, you were screened to be the Minister of Justice, Attorney General.
I think this is too personal. And I think we've gone beyond that level. The government has been put in place, ministers have been appointed. The duty of all of us, as citizens of this country, is to see how we can move this country forward. And that is my position.
Yeah, I know, but I'm asking, are you sympathetic to the APC?
No, it's not about, no, I'm sympathetic to Nigeria. I'm sympathetic to Nigeria. In fighting corruption, I fight calls to report some members of the APC to the security agencies.
No, nothing wrong
so
with that.
So it's not about...
It's just for information purposes.
No, it's not about being simple. I'm sympathetic to Nigeria. And when I'm talking of corruption, it's not limited to a particular political party.
Yeah, because if Section 1475 says to be a minister, you have to be qualified to be elected as a member of the House of Reps, and to do that, you have to be a member of a political party. So
no, there are people who are not members of political parties
who eventually.
So it's not very important, you know. But the bottom line is for us to take advantage of the openings now to reorganize this country in the interest of ourselves and our children. We haven't had this opportunity for some, and I know what I'm talking about. I work with these agencies, and I go to the court regularly. I have seen some degree of political will to fight impunity. And since the government...
Even in the courts?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
All right.
Oh, yes. And we have a new law, the Administration of Criminal Justice Act,
which
has empowered. No, it is now. It's enforced now.
Was this the stay of prosecution still going?
No. There was an attempt, and that is being taken care of, you know. We've made it clear to all and sundry that by the provisions of this law now, there shall be no stay of proceedings any longer. And once you can eliminate stay of proceedings, some of these cases that have just begun now will be concluded in the next few months, unlike before, where you could hang the case for 14 years or 15.
Interesting. Thank you very much indeed for talking to us, Mr. Femi Falana, Senior Advocate of Nigeria, giving his thoughts on our fight against corruption. Well, we'll be back in a moment. We should take a look at what you are talking about, as a matter of fact.